going on, guys? Lions Gaming TCG, welcome to the channel. It's Bradley here from T-2, doing another deck profile after coming top 8 at the Krefeld Germany offline regional that happened just this weekend. Yeah, it'll be a quick one because it's a deck that we're all familiar with. It's the meta deck of the format. Red Vegeta, decided to go with it again. Made a few changes from my build from when I did the Paris regional. There was a few changes that I didn't like from the Paris regional, so I decided to take or make some adaptations and changes to the version I played previously. Kind of went back to how I played it in Glasgow, just with the minor tweaks. But yeah, took Red Vegeta, 60 people at the regional, fantastic event. Ran very smoothly by no heroes, and the judge, head judge, was fantastic. Bless him, he was all by himself. But what he was able to do with the limited amount of judge calls when they were required, he was responsive, and he took control of the event and made sure the results were in on time, made sure things went smoothly. So massive shout out to him for doing that. But yeah, the deck I took was Red Vegeta. I'm not going to go into the leader at all. We all know what the leader does now. It has a massive draw engine, self bursts, creates a massive hand size, and it's aggressive. Combos from the warp. Sends cards from hands to draw to the warp. So we're not going to talk about that. But we'll go into the Z deck straight away first. Well, so the changes I made this time round was I cut the 4-drop. So unison. So what we went with was 2 Duran unison, 1 nice art, 1 not. The Sin and Gogeta unison, 2 6-drops, 1 Gogeta, Defender of Life, 1 black Goku, and 2 Mighty Blasts. The changes really this time round was I took out the Kid Coup. I felt I wasn't playing it often enough. Granted, it was great for the cheeky little KO removal, especially into blue with their Zamasu counter to red at the minute. The one that stops you from minusing the battle cards and unisons. But it didn't really come up enough where I needed to play that. I upped the 6-drop Gogeta to 2 because it's just a broken card. There's times when there's some games that you might want to play it more than once per game, especially if you're in a position you get floodgated. You might as well just play this and sit back and relax. And they've got to just play their turn awkwardly again, especially into certain decks that require to play the 20Ks, etc., i.e. Nuova, forces them to play awkwardly. Green Gohan, not that you'd see it much anymore, but lots of little different decks, and it causes a lot of issues for them to kind of sequence. I took out the 4-cost unison, just at times it was too expensive to play, so I went up, because there seems to be a lot of yellow still at the minute and red, I just decided to go with a second unison for Jiren. It didn't come up as much as I wanted it to. I was hoping it would come up more than once, but it never presented itself. If I'm under a floodgate, force himself down from 4 to 3 at least, get some pressure through. Simple double striker, which I think I played once all tournament. It's potential that you could even drop this, but it is a good card just to fuel your drop. Instantly puts 4 cards in the drop to play it if you're struggling to put cards in the drop, which is quite good to be able to play out your Goku Blacks and your Vegetas. Black Goku, just on play removal. Again, it helps specifically into blue to try and clear their Zamasu specifically. So therefore you can use the rest of your cards to clear up the rest of their board. And 2 Mighty Blast. Most of the time I was playing 2 every other game. I just felt like sometimes to save my hand I would pop this to kind of help deal with a big swing mid game, and then re-establish a second one to help push for game later on. Oh yeah, I think the changes I would make to this now would be I'd cut out a Jiren and potentially go to up to 2 of the black Gokus, but testing will dictate that. Into the main board. So our turn ones, I changed from the U7 package as such, and I just went with the 4 trunks. Especially in this version that I'm running, it's able to search pretty much every card in the deck that's red, as long as it's the same. It doesn't search master cards, but the fact it can grab what you'll see is the secret red later on, more specifically. This worked very well in Glasgow. I think I cut these out completely for Paris, and I felt like at times I was missing a check land that I could search, and that's what this is good for, just being able to grab your check land as well if you're struggling. Yeah, instantly I wouldn't change a thing there. But yeah, definitely 4 of them. The black cards just for the engine or the archetype itself. 3 Goku blacks to 1 Vegeta. Again, you're just able to loop them. You only need to kind of establish 1, and then they just self-loop themselves. I always wanted to play this every turn, but the Vegeta, I didn't want to see it too much. I just wanted to play it for a cheeky 25 or just an extra 5k combo when it needed to come up. And then the reds were, of the red 4 drops, was the 4 Gokus, 2 of them, and even 2 of the 6s. So that's the change to this list from the previous list for both Paris and Glasgow. These 2 remained the same. Your dual attack -15, so in total -30. It's just absolutely broken. Helps to clear floodgates on swing as they're coming down. At least it takes the combo piece straight off the board into Pilash Shumai for blue. They can't use it into this because you're just going to minus it straight away. And they can't, pointless taking off dual attacks, still get the restand. And then the barrier blocker, everything what it says it does on the tin already. -20k before the card's played. And then when you combo a card, you're going to restand it. Use your leader skill if you needed to, just to kind of get the cheeky restand. Into the mirror match, you're always gonna swing twice with it. You're never gonna keep it up as a blocker because you're expecting them to do the Cumber in return. So it's just a battle of Cumbers, whoever sees more. The new inclusion this time was the 6 drop. When it came to a lot of testing, I spent a lot of time back and forth on the idea of this against things like defeating a demon and whatnot, depending on which one's going to give me more value. Wasn't expecting to see too much green. However, into Gamma, where they always want to kind of floodgate you off the first swing, depending on how the Vegeta matchup is going, this is pretty much there just to bait you into getting another swing. Doing this swing paired with the leader, 25k crit swing, and if they're going to activate a counter on this card's attack, or whilst this card is in the battle, then you're going to deal a damage if they're on 3 or more life. What people, I don't know if they understand, I'm not too sure, but the fact that you can do this, it doesn't have to be them activating a counter attack. It could even be if they're doing a counter play when his card's in a battle. So you could swing towards leader. They don't activate a counter skill, i.e. they don't do a negate. The battle's going through, and let's say you had a battle trick of your own that you was able to play a card mid-battle, and let's say Nuova wanted to stop that from coming in and use the Vegeta counter play, Prideful Transformation. This card's in the battle, therefore you'll trigger the counter skill on this. The auto will go off, and if they're on a 3 or more life, you'll deal a damage. But yeah, this card was more just to help recycle the drop. It's a draw one. And it's more just to get through an extra swing before they start to floodgate your turn more than anything. And it actually worked quite well, to be fair. There is an argument, I think I could go up to 3 on this. But I think 2 is enough because you can't play it until your opponent's on 3 or more, which I find this should be your turn 3 play, I think, with the barrier blocker. This in the barrier blocker, I think, would be perfect. And then the 2 boss monsters for the deck. It's 2 Vegeta and only 2 of the Gohans. Tested 3 of these recently, and right up until the night before testing, I decided to cut one out to make space in the deck. The list is 54 cards. I'm very adamant on my playstyle and that I won't go over 54. I think every time I go over 54, I think consistency gets hit in my playstyle. So I decided to cut this down to 2. I didn't want to see it every single turn, but I wanted to see it once, maybe twice, if I could get to that chance, just to help fuel the drop. If I'm digging for secret rare, if I'm digging for a super combo or a check land, just to get the extra draw 2, discard 2, just helps with that. And then it just, of course, satisfies the free plays. And if you've built up a board, then you've got free combo on board just to be able to sack it all off. And the Vegeta, I found a lot of the time today I kept charging it because it wasn't really a time that it came up, but when it did come up, it worked really well. It's there just for the big tool removal, and again for freezer swap. If you're against that, then of course they're not going to play the 8 drop boss monster against you with whilst this is here. They'd have to clear this first, but then they normally tend to leave it alone. Again, draw 1, refuels its drop, helps you to fuel your drop again. Onto some tech cards now. 3 Brolys. The Brolys again, they're just perfect, especially when you're running this leader with Explosive Dance. I quite like this specifically for going against decks where if I can go second, whether I win the dice roll or the opponent thinks they need to go first, and I'm up against Gamma, or I'm up against any decks that require Z Energy or a Z Unison to kind of play their deck, i.e. like Namaku for example, Gamma, I think even Panzino this can be quite good into, just to kind of slow down their momentum with the Gohan 2 drop, or even playing a Demigra Unison. So yeah, that's exactly what that's there for, and it helps to kind of help defensively with Explosive Dance. And then I've got the Overwhelm package, which is just something nice and simple. Three Gokus. I wish I had more of the gold shiny ones. They're so nice. Broken card, draw one, combo from the drop. From the warp. It just gives you so much value. It helps to kind of generate the Z energy that you need. And this time round, I was running this as a 4 of previously, but I wanted to kind of make space for other choices. So I thought by dropping it to 3, I still saw it enough, but I didn't always see it on curve turn 2, which you want to do going first just to kind of get the extra pressure through. So that could, if I can find space, that can go back up to 4. But again, I refused to go over 54. And this time round, I went to 3 Bardoks because it reduced the extra card count in the main board. So by going up to 3 of these, it means I could just take out one less, or remove one extra card, just to give me another floodgate against the aggro matchups because I want to see it as early as possible. Ideally, turn 3 on curve, and then if it's going late game, then using this turn 5 if needs be, just to slow down their momentum, especially because most decks only all their pressure comes from the battle cards. And then I don't need to talk about this card. 4 Cumber, and then only 4 of the check lands. Yeah, the Cumber. I don't know what they plan on doing with the ban list when it comes up, but that's your barrier removal for the deck, or for this version that I run. That's my barrier removal. Almost every single time I see it on curve turn 3 when I need to. There was one game, I think it was just poor shuffling on my end in between games, but I can't remember which round it was. It might have been my round 5 against Gamma, against a friend of mine. I just didn't see any of the combos, so I couldn't clear his Cell Max. His Cell Max sat on board for 2 turns, and that was annoying because he got like 2 double strikes that he could swing with, as well as 2 blocks defensively, and it was very stubborn and very sticky. So yeah, that's definitely that was unfortunate. But otherwise, the rest of the games I saw it on curve when I needed to, which is fantastic. Secret rare choice and super combos of choice. I went with 4 Reddits and the Vegeta secret rare. The way I've been playing this deck recently through testings, I'm playing it quite aggressively. I'm not afraid to tap out with the Bardock Floodgate. And what is there not to love about a 10k boost on your leader, 40 quad? Look at your opponent's hand to get the hand knowledge to see if you can end the turn or end the game there and then, or if there's a way to kind of sequence differently to force the most value out of your turn, and that helps you defensively as well. But yeah, there's nothing. This is definitely, in my opinion, I think this is the best secret rare by far for the deck, just because it's free. Yes, you run the risk of bursting it, but I didn't burst it once throughout any of my games, and I think for as long as I've been running this secret rare in this deck, at 54 cards, I think I've only ever bursted it twice, maybe 3 times out of maybe 60, 70 games, maybe more than that. So yeah, the risk is very low, but the value you get from this card is so high, so that's the reason why I run that. And I just prefer the Raditz super combo. I just like the extra cycle, the more draws, get rid of a dead card from hand to see 2 new fresh cards. I think that's the right super combo, personally. And then the Gates package, 2 of the Gohan negates, 3 Vegetos, 2 explosive dance in the main board, 2 imposing, and 1 token. So I reduced it. I was always running 6 non-Saiyan cards in the deck, whether it be extra cards or not. And I always felt I would always kind of hit at least 1, which was kind of rough at times. Especially if sometimes if you hit the 2, you force yourself through the Gogeta route to be able to awaken, and you need to awaken turn 2 every game, because you don't have any other way to awaken, so you must awaken straight away. I took these out for France. I didn't run these at all for France or for Glasgow. I was thinking about putting them in the side, but they're just too good. Even if you want it as a negate and just cycle a card back and replace itself, who doesn't like a negate that draws one? But it was also, what's good about this, it has good synergy with the Vegeto. You can do this to kind of help fuel your drop if you haven't got enough Saiyans there. And then use your leader skill to be able to do activate battle, for example. That puts 2 Saiyans in there. And then you've got this live if you need to, the Vegeto. I went with 3 Vegetos. It's just another token negate with the buff, but against early game aggression, just being able to put 2 Saiyans in the drop straight away and use this defensively to get you out of a big swing coming your way or a big double, is clutch. It's fantastic. That was a change I made where I had 2 and 1 in the side in Glasgow. I dropped it to 2 for Paris. I went back up to 3 with the inclusion of this, just to kind of help, especially with yellow being quite dominant at times with yellow Broly and stuff. Just being able to have a battle card negate, I think, is fantastic recently at the minute. Explosive dance, what's not to love? I think Vegeta seems to be coming away. I think the way people are playing, they're playing better into explosive dance, so it's not as effective as it once was. However, it still does catch people off guard if you do it at the perfect time, especially paired it with the Brolys. Then it's yeah, they're not just punching through. And there's still some decks through the format that don't Z charge very well. Like generally Tapion, Golden Cooler sometimes that struggles to get the Z energy through because it needs the energy for its super combos a lot of the time. So that's just another way to kind of take them offline. The mirror match doesn't really Z charge that much. Doesn't really affect Frieza swap, which is why I dropped it down to 2. Imposing, it's fantastic. It does so much at the minute in the current format. The mirror match against Nuova, you don't even need to do much against Nuova. You don't need to side in loads of extra cards or extra defense or violent rays. Don't get me wrong, it's fantastic for the secret rare and stuff. But if your main threat is their 8-drop Shadow Dragons, Imposing does enough. Especially going into the 8-drop Nuova, they're trying to swing 2 or 3 times. You do that off the first one, then they're going straight away down to like a 10k swing by the time it gets to that point. Or if they want to swing with the 4-drop first, then you do Imposing. That's now a 10k swing, and then the Evolve's only going to be a 15. So yeah, that really well. And then 1 token just in there in case I needed to see a solid negate when it was needed. Sometimes I sided it out. Sometimes I sided in a second copy when we're going to the sideboard now. Sideboard was 2 Imposing, 2 Broly, 2 1-drop Gohan, changing history for the D-Magic Hate. Again, went back in, put these back in for the mainly for blue or any kind of wide boards. Sometimes can work well in Nuova, but it doesn't have any deflect or barriers. It's quite susceptible to being counterplayed. 2 defeating the demons. 2 topos this time as a new inclusion. 1 extra dance, 1 token negate, and then finally 1 last overrealm being the Bardock. Everything got sided in over the course of the weekend. The only thing that didn't get sided in, sorry, was Topo, because I was fortunate enough to dodge the mirror match. Weirdly enough, even though there was quite a lot of Vegeta in the top 8, I think it was three Vegetas in top 8. Besides that, there was probably only 1 or 2 more, I think, across the tables that I saw. I could be wrong completely. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of Vegeta to the point where you was going to see it regularly. So yeah, I was fortunate enough. They didn't have to come in, but Hidden Ambitions, everyone knows what that does. Counter. You're going to side it in for green. You could side it in for the mirror when they try and go down the route of Imposing for free. You could do that into Broly. I quite like this into Yellow Broly because they're going to release Removal for free. Especially on like your leader or your unison. So I think this is quite good just to prevent that, especially if you can't clear up the unison. Broly Crown, yeah, it's normally for blue. I did side it in. However, the only time I'll try to use it against Gamma, he just sequenced really well to get round it. Especially when he saw me put 1 in the warp, trying to bait him into kind of getting his energy open, but then he spent it straight away, so it wasn't worth it. I did face blue, so the Gohan as a new inclusion this time actually worked very well. I went against my dear friend Peter Dance, and he was playing Invoker, and this card put in quite a bit of work to the point he had to respect it and force it through because of the D magic he relies on to get his untap to kind of get his Invoker or continue to put pressure on through Invoker. So this worked really well, and it worked really well against Gamma. Couldn't get their untap. The Goku, I only sided this in for blue. I originally used to side this in for the mirror. Didn't get a chance to play against the mirror, but this into blue just as another way to deal with the Zamasu more than anything. And again into Invoker, this card's very good because it clears both multiple cards at once. On swing, you do have to be very careful, however. But yeah, on swing, you just minus any of your battle cards, minus them 10 for the turn, and in return you get to KO one of your opponent's battle cards 25k and KO it. You do need to be careful because this card you can only play it when you have less cards in the battle area than your opponent. That does include the extras and field cards, so you'd have to be very careful there. Defeating the Demon was mainly brought in for Nuova, just to kind of interrupt the Nuova 4-drop. I would side this into the mirror as well, to kind of in response to them playing the dual attacker. just so they don't get any value off the dual attacker. I think that's a very easy out to it. Um, I didn't side this in too much. I did side it in into a couple of my games, but not to the point where I needed it every game, and I didn't miss it. Originally, I used to like this into Gamma just to kind of minus off the board the Android 17 straight away, or even the Android 13 that gives them 10k. It wasn't needed. I didn't feel like I missed it when I took them out, which is why I moved it to the side because I don't think it's a staple at the minute for this deck or for my version. Topo was just there just for the mirror match, for nothing else. I don't think you can run the risk. You can't play it against green because of Boojin. It's not worth playing against yellow because T-Blow. And T-Blow does affect it because it's in the auto. It's not quite like Oceanus. And black, unless they're on more than 4 life, they're not going to pay 2 for begrudging. So, and Super Kamehameha doing that for free is rough, especially if that's your only outlet that time. So into the mirror match. Reason why I brought this in for the mirror match, it's an easy side in. Doesn't affect my ratios. I just take out explosive dance for this, so it doesn't affect my same ratios in that respect. I just feel like this, especially towards the late game, just shuts down their turn. They need to now spend so much more resource to kind of get through, and then I just kill them on the clapback. Um, this paired with like imposing, for example, they're not doing anything that turn. They're just wasting resource. Explosive dance, just a ratio fixer, just to bring in against the decks that don't Z charge a lot, or they struggle to Z charge, or they need Z energy. So forcing them to spend it hurts them even more. So that was brought in for Nuova. That was brought in for the green decks, Tapion, etc. One extra token negate just for a solid one. Again, this was brought in for. This would have been brought in for the mirror match. This was brought in for. I had a match against Goku Zeno, so I brought the extra negates in to kind of slow them down. Um, Again, it doesn't affect my ratios because that's just a general swap in, swap out between the extra cards. So don't affect the Saiyans. And the Bardock being the last one. Just over round 5, being able to warp a whole board of 6 or more. That was mainly for Nuova. However, I did side this in against green, a green Maya that I played. Granted, they do have the 5 drop, but it's green. It plays a lot of 8 drops. And it warps them as well, so it takes them away completely. But again, I'm playing an aggro deck. I'm playing it aggressively. I don't want to spend energy to constantly remove things as much as I can. So having a free overrealm that just basically clears up board of tall bodies came in clutch most of the time. Um, like I said at the beginning of the video, the tournament was hosted very, very well, very smoothly run. A massive shout out to the head judge. He did a fantastic job. He was the only judge. It was 60 players in Krefeld, Germany. Um, yeah, having to organise everything, hand out the prizes midway through round 1, then also answer judge calls. There wasn't too many that I remember, but there was enough for him to be occupied and be busy. He still was able to walk around and watch the gameplay of all the different tables. I was upset. I think everyone was upset there was no stream, which is hopefully something that they can correct on in the future. Because I really believe that the Masters needs more streams and more content out there because it's only going to continue to make everyone happy. And one day it might even introduce old players coming back and even new players wanting to try and transition from Fusion World. Um, Matchups of the day was 6 rounds. I placed 8th, so top 8. Round 1 was against Damian, 90. He, absolutely lovely fella, was playing Nuova. I went first, and he caught me off guard because he was playing Purunga Secret Rare. That put in a bit of work that turn, but I had him under the Bardock Floodgate on his kill on the turn he was trying to kill. I was on 4 life. He was trying to put me to 3 so he could triple strike me, but he just didn't have enough pressure. He was going tall on his leader swing like 30k. He tapped both my energy down with Purunga and drew 1 card. He just didn't have enough to push, and I was sitting fairly comfortable at that point, and he just shook my hand and said, "That's it." Um, he's part of the Just Locals crew. For anyone that doesn't know, Just Locals is a German team. Absolutely fantastic bunch of guys. They have a server that they run locals on every week, or mostly every week, normally on Fridays, but they do mix the days up sometimes. It is European time. Um, for me, it's 7 p.m. UK time, but for anyone that wants to get involved with their locals, they do prizing as well. But in order for you to get the prize in, you need to make sure that you pay for your shipment and for your entry, or you can just turn up and play for free in the same locals. The guy's absolutely fantastic. But this fellow, Damien 90, he's one of their guys. and it was a pleasure to play you round one. That then sent me off into round two. Played Peter Dance, none other than, I have to say it, the King of Invoker. I went first, won the dice roll, went first. Um, I won on turn four, I think it was, maybe even pushing into turn five. Um, with all due respect, we've tested a lot against each other, and in testing, oh, the ratios were against me in respect of he won a lot more games than I beat him with Red Vegeta. Um, However, unfortunately, on the day for him, it worked towards my favour. I think all the testing massively helped me as well. What was fantastic about that matchup was it was so back and forth at the beginning. He did, to me, it felt like or looked like he bricked a bit in the mid game, which then put him on the back foot, especially when I saw Secret Rare on curve. I saw my 4-drop Gokus to clear his Zamasu and Great Priest. And when I did Secret Rare, he had no negates in hand. I'm pretty sure I had the 1-drop barrier Gohan on the board as well at the time. So even D Magic wouldn't have been great. Um, and yeah, fortunate, but I missequenced a little bit. I kind of bumped my secret up to 45, for 55, thinking that was enough based on his hand. He only had 3 cards or 4 cards in hand. But I completely forgot that the leader skill. He was on 5 life, but I forgot the leader skill is able to take up to 1 life. So he put himself to 4 for an extra card in hand, and then unfortunately he had 2 supers to kind of manipulate his energy and do a death beam against me. So he got out of that attack. But I just continued the pokes throughout the rest of the turn, and he just didn't have enough to deal with the pressure. Um, as everyone knows, he's a very, very dear friend of mine. Absolutely love the guy to bits. We're only going to continue to test, most likely. We're all excited for the colour white, but time will tell how things go. But yeah, as always, Pete, pleasure to play you. But as you kind of heard in Krefeld, I think I'm now the Invoker Slayer. Just thought I'd put that out to you now, mate. Because it turns out I was his only loss throughout the day, because he ended up getting third, or in his eyes joint second, um, based on the way the pairings were done on the app. But yeah, he absolutely smashed the day, and I'm so proud of him, so pleased for him as well, taking a set 9 leader, as he would normally say, to a meta of BT27. But yeah, fantastic game. It's never nice winning against a good friend, but that only helped spur me on for the rest of the day. Round three was against Green Mai. I haven't played against that deck since a friend of mine from Locals played it, Dan. Again, this was against another Just Locals team member called Pele. I went first, won a dice roll, and again it came down to turn four. I saw Secret Rare when I needed to. Turn four, he missequenced his turn two, where he wasn't able to play out his unison. I prevented him from getting Z energy, and he did an overrealm, which I think missequenced his turn with the Toa. He went a bit more hand control, but also with the 5k on the Mai, which then buffed it back up to a 10 or a 15k leader, which I thought was quite good. Um, so he missed like probably a cycle of 4 cards he could have drew that turn, so that massively put him on the back foot. Um, and then it just come to, by the time we got to turn four, he saw 2 dormants to slow me down, but when it got to turn four, after seeing my 6-drop Goku that I swung, I was expecting the dormant, didn't see it. And then I played Secret Rare straight after, saw his hand and he had no negates. He just had 2 super combos, and it was just, I was on 5 life and I just dumped as much as I could. I think I got up to like 80 or 90. And I still had like 3 super combos in hand and then a gate for the clapback. But yeah, it was unfortunate for him, but absolutely fantastic dude. Had a great time playing. It was a very good game, and it turns out he topped as well. He got top 16. He did very well. I think I was his only loss up until round six, and then he lost round six unfortunately by 5k. So he'll make sure everyone knows it was lost by 5k. Yeah, then we've got sorry about that, headphones nearly ran out. Round four was my first loss of the day. Loss of the day. Um, that was against Ethan, French player, very well known French player. Pretty sure he plays for the team of Soul Fusion. Um, Fantastic guys playing Tapion. I haven't played against Tapion in ages. I didn't prep for the matchup, and that definitely showed on the day. Lost a dice roll and went second. I think against Tapion you need to go first just to slow down their aggression, by being able to awaken, get at least a free 5k, slow them down with your Gogeta, six drop, so they can't just play the four drop double striker and try and push you down very early. He got me down to 3 life by turn, I think by the end of around my turn two. Um, but he played the matchup very well. Explosive Dance was great in that matchup, but I saw it once. And then I think by the time I did see the second one, I did it, managed to see it, but it was already too late in the game for me to come back from. But he played the matchup very well, and he went on to be in X1. He went on to the final against Bruno, another French player who's very well known in the community too. Um, Unfortunately, he lost that. But yeah, kudos to Ethan. Absolutely fantastic guy. And his English was great, which was fantastic. Round five was against DC. He was a friend of ours from Manchester, from Team CBA, because they can't be asked to do shit. Um, Fantastic dude. It's the first time, the second time I've met him properly in person. I actually spent time with him this time, which was great. And the dude is cool. Massive shout out to him because he organised all the accommodation for us. So I just had to turn up and pay. It was fantastic for me. Um, he was playing Gamma. We played quite a few games in the build up to this regional, and if anything, besides Peter, David was kind of my main testing partner. We had quite a few games. We were working on a lot of lists together, and we really thought we were getting places with different decks. We wanted to try and take Annie-box stuff. We worked really hard on Green Margin Vegeta, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to get what we wanted out of it. But he ended up taking Gamma, which was annoying because I hate Gamma. I won the dice roll, but went second because I wanted to see my Brolys. I didn't see my Brolys, but fortunately I saw two negates early game, so I was able to stop his awakening until turn three. Um, Problem with that was I didn't realise that the 17 and some of the cards in the deck, it checks for the leader's backside. It doesn't. It just says if your leader's backside is. So me delaying 2 turns actually did help me a little bit, but I didn't aggro him enough in them early turns because I wanted to deny him the energy. It's as simple as that. Um, but I didn't see enough Brolys. It was a great game. He played fantastic, especially in the early game, especially with me putting him on the back foot. But when it comes to the kill turn for me, I didn't see my secret rare. But when it came to the kill turn, one thing he struggled with was he had hatch, and but he didn't use it. He wanted me to burn through resource. I think I had enough to survive, but we wouldn't have known until he played it out because he had the 8 drop cell max on board. Um, but he didn't use it, and then he used Clash. Clash doesn't replace your energy, or it didn't for him, and he put himself to 2 energy, and then now Hatch is non, he can't use it. I had my 1 drop Gohan on board, so he couldn't use D Magic, and if he did, he's not getting any energy back for anything. And it was just too far gone at that point, and I think I won the game swinging the 1 drop and putting it up to 44, and he had 2 cards in hand, which was Secret Rare and Negate, which he couldn't use. So, but yeah, fantastic dude. Um, Hopefully get to spend more time with him and play more games with him, and hopefully we can go swaying. Fingers crossed. And then yeah, last round of the day was against Dab. Yeah, I went for well, he won the dice roll and he chose to go second with Marco. He's playing Goku Xeno. Enough said really. I just didn't see enough negates. Every negate I did see was a battle card one, and he put me under quotes every turn, so he was just punishing me too much. Um, all I needed to see was my total negates, my imposing, or even my explosive dance, but didn't see any of them. Um, that would have saved me massively. That would have won me the game. He was on 1 life. I just needed one more swing and push. But I needed him to burn the resources because he had too many Kais in hand. But yeah, he played the matchup very well. He knew exactly what he was doing. All I needed to see was extra cards. That's all I needed to kind of deal through the quoits. But unfortunately, yeah, I didn't see them. But yeah, eighth, another serial. Looking very good this season so far. Looking forward to wave two. Um, but yeah, it was a fantastic day. But yeah, this massive shout out to my teammate, my homie, my Italian stallion, Gio. Yeah, we're the two representing -2 for Masters right now. We've got Frankie as well, but he couldn't make it. But yeah, Giovanni Kesterman absolutely smashed it on a day. Got second on the Wova. The guy's one of the best Shadow Dragon players, if not the best. Ultimately, the guy's been playing Shadow Dragons since its original release in Set 10, and he's never given up since. Um, and yeah, as always, he continues to fucking do well, even with minimal testing, because the guy's just too good at the game. But yeah, congratulations to him. I've already shouted out Peter. I've already shouted out David. Um, Shout out to the French community, Bruno, and all of your guys. I think it's Alexis and Quinton. All did very, very well on the day. Unfortunately, tiebreakers was the reason why Alexis didn't get top 8, but he still got ninth, which is a fantastic achievement anyways. And then another shout out to the Just Locals guys. I mean, what's not to love about these guys? You guys, for anyone out there that doesn't know them, you need to get involved with the guys. They're very good players. They're very, very good people. Um, and they're just a pleasure to be around. It was just great to be able to finally meet them in person, because they're even cooler in person than they are on the Discord servers. And it's better to put a face to the name as well, which is great. Um, but yeah, for those of you that aren't already getting involved, get involved in their server, play their locals, get testing, get better, enjoy the game as much as we all do, and keep pushing out the content out there, because that's the reason why we all have enjoyed this game. And then finally, the last shout out is going to be to Damien and the Lookout crew, because if it isn't for them kind of pushing out content for us all and streaming and getting their name out there to kind of help with the content train, then, especially from a European perspective, then I think we'd all be lost. But yeah, that's everything from me. I don't think there's many changes I would make. Probably a couple of changes to the sideboard. Um, but yeah, that's the deck profile on Red Vegeta. Another top 8. Very, very pleased. And we go on to wave 2 and we see what we can do when white comes out. But until then, we're going to keep the grind going, keep testing, keep trying out new decks, test out more of the Annie box stuff, and we'll see where it takes us. But until then, thanks for watching and I'll see you again soon.